We've been in technology for 45 years in healthcare. I mean, a long time. We built one of the first electronic medical records. We've been doing this for a long, long time. Last year, we got serious about digital health and what we could do to help patients at work, at home, in keeping them healthy. So it is not a long-term phenomena. But let me share some of the things that we've done over the last 12 months in preparation for really going down digital health. Again, we've done some little pockets on what Russ showed in his slides, but we're not there. We're nowhere near there. First of all, we wanted to look at what our goal around consumer health was, and that's how we approached it. It's consumers, not just patients, but consumers. When I engage in healthcare, I feel connected to a trusted team. You saw that in a lot of Sangeeta's slides. That knows me, supports me, guides me, empowers me, stays with me, makes my life easier, and helps me live the healthiest life possible. I feel supported, not controlled. How do patients feel when they come to us today? They feel controlled. They no longer control it. They've turned that over to doctors and nurses and administrators and pathologists and other people. We give them information when we have it or when we want to give them information, and we put it in a format that we think's most appropriate to them. That's not what consumers want today. That's not what you, the younger generation, wants either. You want transparency and ability to control your own interactions with healthcare. That became our goal. As we looked at what the expectations were from consumers, so we went out and did widespread surveys across the service areas that we have. And we found a few points, and I'll share those points with you. First, consistency matters. If things are similar, if you go to your app every time to order a plane ticket and it's a different experience, you're not going to use that app. You're going to go to one where it's consistent, you understand it, you're comfortable with it, and it allows that interaction to be very strong. The CSAT score is a customer satisfaction score, and there was a strong positive correlation between being consistent in what these digital apps do and then the satisfaction that they received. Multi-channel and personalized. People want to access it on their iPad, on their laptop, on their flip phone. It doesn't matter what the technology they're using. They want to be able to access it. And they want to receive personalized messages. They don't want just blank, blown out messages. They want things personalized to them. Interesting that each American has 5.8 devices. I don't know about you. When I was growing up, I had none. But right now, 5.8 devices. Digitization affects reputation. So the consumers are telling us, if you're not digitized, we're not sure that you're going to be the kind of healthcare organization we want to be with. They're influenced also by what others say. So if you go to one of the restaurant apps and you look at it, you're going to have your sense, your feeling for that restaurant based on what people are saying. And now you can get that information all over the place. We were talking yesterday about some of the health issues of some hospitals within the country of India. How quickly is social media picking things up? Maybe not spinning it the way we want it spun, and maybe they're not even saying the truth, but they're sensationalizing issues which have a direct correlation and impact on the reputation of those organizations. 1.8 billion tweets for 3 days, and that's just Russ. They have 24/7 expectations. They want care when they want care. And it's interesting, in an organization like ours, I won't speak for other organizations, but we bring in billions of dollars worth of assets, buildings, equipment, people. We keep them open from 8 to 5, generally 4.5 days a week, because most doctors want to go home midday on Friday. We're really not leveraging those assets. And what we talked about over the last couple of days, the increasing cost of healthcare, we're going to have to be able to use those assets more wisely. But consumers want it when they want it, and they want to be able to access it from wherever they are. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. You don't go home to get your email. Right? You get your email where you are. Translate that into things like healthcare. There's a new norm for service quality. No longer are they comparing it to how we used to do it. They're comparing it to how Amazon, or how books used to be sold, and comparing it to what Amazon's doing today. They're comparing it to Airbnb or to Uber and companies like that they get high levels of customer service very quickly and electronically, but they're no longer comparing it to how we used to do it. So if we're sitting here saying, let's just do it better with technology and trying to improve the image of our organizations and not looking at these other experts, we're making a mistake, because they don't care if we went this far. They're looking at what's possible, and it's that far. And the customers are in control. Over 75% of airlines passengers associated positive emotions with their ability to use self-service. They like self-service. My mom didn't like self-service, but today, this generation, they like self-service and they want to do it by themselves. A few things around, as you think about consumers and consumer products and what we do, we found 3 real key areas. One is segments. You have to be able to define the segments that you're dealing with. What kind of, are they pediatric patients? Are they adult patients? Because there's going to be a difference in how they want to use digital technology. You can look at segments all kinds of different ways, but you do need to understand your consumers, and you do need to build your technology to match those segments. An operating model is simply how you're organized. How we as CIOs organize our business differs greatly within consumers than it does within traditional EMRs and the way we've done things. We need to look at the overall compensation and organization of how we do IT. And maybe the most important thing is journeys. You're no longer thinking about a transaction, you're thinking about a journey. You're thinking about, how does someone come and access, in my case, Intermountain Healthcare? Do they go on and do they Google Intermountain Healthcare and do they find it? Once they've found it, then what happens? Do I just want them to find it, or do I want to start them on a journey? Well, let's talk about doing self-triage. Let's talk about moving self-triage to what's the best place for you to get care. You want a video chat? You want some kind of asynchronous email approach? Or do you really need to go see a doctor? And if you want to go see a doctor, should I send you to one of our urgent care centers or an emergency department? Or can we wait and schedule you a day or 2 out? Well, if we're going to schedule you, let's move that journey into how we would schedule you online. Those could each be individual transactions, not very effective. As a journey, you now engage the patient and you move them through that journey, and and that's where we're finding there's much more success in consumerism. And these are just some ideas of our journeys. They'll be in your deck. Our patients are now going from what used to be, we know what's best for our patients. The patient can, I can't read it there, the patient can come during operating hours. We're changing that to, how do we consistently understand and anticipate what our patient wants? How can we meet the patient where they are, anytime, anywhere? These are the expectations we're getting. We're going from the patient doesn't know what the implications of their choices are. Again, they're not involved in their care, to how do we empower the consumer to take control of their care? From technology should be used to fix all problems, to how do we best leverage technology for the problem that's at hand? Little different way of thinking within healthcare. From a patient care starts when they walk in the door, ends when they're cured. No, we're going to take care of them throughout the journey. We're going to do all the things that Sangeeta talked about in the home, at work, while they're living their lives. The patient won't understand the details. No, we're going to give them the details because they want to be empowered in the care that they're getting. Technology alone will not make us consumer-centric. All the things that we talk about, it requires culture. It requires operations that can now support a consumer digital approach to care. It requires new processes that include things like journeys. We have to change how we physically provide care if we're going to bring the consumer in and change their experience with us. Things like clinics, they may change. How many of you have waiting rooms in your hospitals and your clinics? Where did that concept of waiting room come from? Who wants to go and wait? Nobody. How do we fix that where you come in and you just get your care? You can do it at a barber, but you can't do it in a healthcare setting. And then training. We're going to need to train our clinicians differently, ourselves differently, and mostly our consumers differently. I'll end on this. Let me introduce you to a guy named Brigham Young. Brigham Young led the Mormon population that was being persecuted. It was a religion in the mid part of the United States. They were being killed and persecuted. So Brigham Young led them to go across the United States. This is in about 1840, to go across the United States and find a new place to live. When he got to this spot, he put his cane down and he said, "This is the place." Well, that place is Salt Lake City that you can see in this picture. There was no city. But he said, "This is where we're going to build a city." And later, he built a city. There's a story about a pastor that came out to meet with Brigham Young, and they went up on the side of the mountain and they looked over the valley that was now the built-out valley of Salt Lake City, and he said to Brigham Young, "Brother Brigham, it's amazing what you and God have done to make this great valley." And Brigham Young said to him, "Well, you should have seen it when just God had it." What does that mean to us? Deployment, yeah, we need some divine help, whatever our divinity might be, but it takes hard work, and it takes us cooperating with one another. It takes what Dr. RHIT has said to us, that we need to get going, we need to work together, but if we do, we're going to achieve amazing things. So thank you for your time.